Alright, Diablo 4 players, let's go over one of the top tier builds for Season 9. This is going to be the Omega Hydra Sorc, where we're going to be getting these massive Hydras to actually spawn in, and that is because they actually grow in size with one of the brand new uniques called the Ophidian Iris. So, the main reason why this is going to be one of the best builds in the upcoming season is you just have a crazy multiply, getting basically 1,000 plus multiplicative damage for each of your Hydras that can actually have more than 3 heads, and every single time that you get more than 3, it's going to have 100x damage increased for each additional head. This is the main thing, by the way. You definitely want the item, and I actually want to start the video really quick to go over where can you actually farm this, because this is what's going to make your build come up online, because obviously Season 9 is new. We need to know where to get it. So to get this brand new amulet, you can farm it from a lot of the tormented bosses, the ones that you probably want to do, to be honest, because let's be real, no one wants to do Undario. So you're going to be getting it from Duriel or the Harbinger of Hatred. Those are the 2 areas that you're going to be getting it. So if you want to acquire the item, that's how you get it. Now, I will also give you guys a mythic and a non-mythic variant, but let's go ahead and get started. So, as far as the skills go, we are going to be playing Ice Armor. We can keep this up 100% of the time. With the brand new way that we spend mana, it's going to spend all of our mana, and we can upkeep this again and again, because after every 50 mana that we spend, we actually gain extra cooldown on Ice Armor. So we can keep this up the whole time. It's just great for survivability. And then, of course, it's a Hydra build, so we want to play Hydra. And so this is our main source of our damage. Then we activate Inferno to get another multiplier, and it can apply vulnerability, but we actually have alternate sources of applying vulnerability, but this is a cool thing nonetheless to get an extra source of damage. And then we run Familiar. This one's kind of an optional one. You can actually run the Enchant, but it's basically to get more of these conjurations because we have a lot of passives and stuff that give us bonuses depending on the familiars that we have. And then Iceblade gives us more attack speed because it really heavily relies on getting all these, again, conjurations because it is a conjuration build. And then we run Teleport just for extra mobility, and it is our lightning skill because we need to put in a lightning or a shock skill, a frost skill, and of course we need a fire skill to get all the bonuses. This is kind of how the source works in Diablo 4. And then the enchants are kind of optional. You can play pretty much whatever you want, which is cool. A thing to note, though, is that the Hydra enchant, because you're thinking, well, it's a Hydra build, why don't you play the Hydra enchant? Well, it's not necessarily bad. It does count as another conjuration, but it will not be getting all of the bonuses that you normally would want to see applied. So you can play whatever you want. I actually recommend Frost Nova because it gives you survivability, plus it freezes the enemies. You can get maybe more multipliers there, but for the most part, it is just there to kind of give you an extra source of survivability, plus it does give you a multiplier in the damage if you do get the node. You'll see that we don't even equip it like on our skill bar, but that's why we actually get the thing on the tree, like your bonuses with it. And then you can run Firebolt, you can run Firewall enchant, heck, you can even run the Meteor enchant. You can run Double Fire to get the bonus with one of the passives on the legendary node. Honestly, play whatever you want. Firebolt's just going to give you some extra source of damage. You'll see in the tree, it just gives you extra burn damage, as this is a burn build. But if you're watching the gameplay, guys, you can see we just deleted, that's the max difficulty, brand new Butcher, and this is on the Nightmare Dungeon Escalations. And so what this build does is you just get extra damage from any of the enchants, really, is what it comes down to, but it doesn't feel like a damage over time build. You'll just see the bosses just instantly get deleted. Obviously, once you get towards the higher tiers of the pit, and it can do a pit 100. Granted, that was on the PTR with, of course, the best gear, but we have actually gotten some buffs. So, as far as the skills go, I want to mention something with the playstyle. You do not spam Hydra. I want to repeat this. You do not spam the Hydra. And one thing I do want to also note, make sure you guys watch the video because there's a lot of key things that are very important. Otherwise, the build will do a lot less damage. You want to cast your Hydra when you're at maximum mana. So you wait for your mana to go up, you cast it, and then it goes all the way down, and then you wait for it to go back up. If you do not do that, you will lose out on a big source of DPS and a big source of survivability, which is your Ice Armor. If you're just doing like Nightmare Dungeons, to be honest, you don't have to wait for it to go all the way down, but if you are doing the high tiers of the pits, you do want to make sure that your mana is up all the way. You can see I'm kind of just spamming it here. This is, again, the new mode, so I want to give you guys new gameplay for Season 9 here. But again, if you're doing like high tier pit pushing, wait for it to go all the way up. Now, as far as the gear goes, so in the helmet, we're going to want Harlequin. You can get CDR or Max Resource. Max Resource is actually the better thing to hit, but if you get cooldown, it's still a pretty good thing because upkeeping your ultimate does give you essentially more damage as well. Just like every single build, Shroud of False Death is great. You can also run the chest piece that gives you the glass cannon, which is the Ryman. That's always been really popular, or any generic chest piece is okay here. And then also for the Mythic variant, we do want to run Ring of the Starless Skies because it gives you ranks to core skills, plus you get that big nice multiplier. Now, I also want to go over the non-mythic version. So because Harlequin gives you a good amount of armor, I decided to throw in Juggernaut's aspect, but any other defensive aspect is good. You can get barrier generation. You also, again, want to make sure that you cap out on your armor, so you may not need to get like armor rolls on your pieces of gear, but it just makes things much easier to either have Juggernauts or get like 2 rolls of defensive gear, because remember, you want 1000 armor. And then for the chest piece or the helm, because they're both in the defensive slot, you can also run Snow Veiled Aspect. I really like this one because it grants you Unstoppable, which makes your character just feel way more tanky. You can also get mana per second earlier on, because obviously with the Mythics, you have a lot of extra resources in general, because you're towards the end of the game, you get all of your other things on your passive tree, because if you have Harlequin, as well as all of the different passives that you're going to be getting from the Shroud of False Death. And then you could just run Engulfing Flames just for extra damage here, because you won't be having a Ring of Starless Skies. But those are like the main differences between the Mythic and the non-Mythic. You can play this build without the Mythics, it's totally fine, but you must have Ophidian Iris in order for the build to feel really good. But now that we went over kind of the differences between the Mythic and non-Mythic, let's go ahead and continue with the gloves. So you can actually run the Sidey Bindings. Those are the unique pair of gloves. It gives you the ranks to Primordial Binding. You want to go ahead and masterwork those as well if you do want to run that variant. It's totally fine, but you will get more damage by getting a good Battlecaster's aspect, as well as those ranks to core skills. This is kind of something that's harder to roll, especially if you want to get a greater affix in the masterworking here. But on all of the offensive stats everywhere, like in your weapons and stuff, Hydra damage is what you want to go ahead and go for. It just gives you the highest multiplier here, or it's an additive, but essentially it just gives you the most bang for your buck. And then this is kind of where it's interesting here. You can either run Tubalts or Axial Conduit. So the reason why you play Axial Conduit is actually for the first line in the stats, which is resource generation and maximums. So the more maximum resource you have, the more damage that you deal with the aspect that we run, which we'll get into in a second. But the rest of the stats do not matter. Don't worry about the chain lightning. Nothing matters. The only thing that matters is the resource generation and maximum. Get that GA, the rest, I mean, it's nice to get damage reduction, but it doesn't matter really at all. Next up for the boots here, you can run a lot of different boots here, but aspect of the Orange Herald is kind of one that I think most players will kind of vibe with, because it gives you extra cooldown for your ultimate, which again gives you a multiplier. You can also technically play the boots that would give you even more cooldown reduction, the Flicker Step, but it makes the build kind of clunky. I've never really liked running those, but in theory, those can upkeep your damage up even higher. And then we also play the Serpentine aspect for our two-hander. So we're going to be playing a two-hander. And the reason why we want to stack all of this mana here is because when we cast Hydra, it's going to spend all of our mana, but we get extra damage per mana spent. So this is a big multiplier again on a two-hander. It's 5% damage per mana. That's why you want to stack mana. And then the important thing to get masterworking when you actually crit it is the weapon casted Hydras have plus heads. That's the thing that you want. This is big DPS. This is your biggest source of damage. I'm surprised that they came out with the patch notes recently and they did not nerf this. This thing is crazy OP, especially with Ophidian Iris. So you can get the GA on Int. It's probably the easiest one to hit. But ranks to Primordial Binding would be great as well, and they did actually change this. Instead of it getting crit chance, they gave it attack speed. So they actually buffed this, and I want to give you guys like an updated build guide, because I also did change up a few things here in the build. But it is even more powerful than it used to be. You used to be able to play crit, but again, this is the non-crit variant, and it doesn't even feel like a build that's, again, damage over time. It just deals all the damage really fast, and Primordial Binding ranks are always super powerful. Then I already mentioned Starless Skies, core skills, you can get anything really, just you don't really benefit off of crit or lucky hit. Attack speed is so-so. You do gain extra attack speed from all of your summons now gain your attack speed, which is a good thing, but for the most part, I would say stuff melts pretty fast, so ideally get the ranks to core skills, you get more numbers there. And then Tal Rasha's Iridescent Loop in every single Sorc build. The only thing that really matters, honestly, is the legendary or unique power, where it says casting the Pyromancy, whatever. You want to make sure that you can hit that 75, which means that you got to hit 25 on it. The rest of the stuff does not matter pretty much at all. If you can get extra to non-physical, that's cool. Cooldown reduction in this whole build, guys, is only for the ultimate, which is a multiplier in itself. You can get around this by running a rune, or if you just get enough cooldown reduction here and there, don't worry too much about getting this, because I know that like getting that number plus the cooldown reduction, every single build that has it in always recommends this. But I also want to let you guys know it's really not that important to get GA cooldown reduction here, as well as the master working to crit on it 3 times. The most important thing, because this isn't like a lightning spear build, the reason why cooldown reduction is good is only because of this, and it's really not that big of a deal. You can run a different set of rune words. It's, I believe, called Zek. This one will help for your ultimate. I put a bunch of other things that you can swap in and out, by the way, in case you're like leveling and you get this side and you're like, hey, can I run this instead until I get this? Absolutely. But as far as the Tal Rasha goes, this is where I know a lot of people stress out. The only thing that's important for this build, Hydra, because CDR isn't as important, is getting that, again, the thing to roll instead of like that 10%. Get that as high as you can, because that's going to basically give you it times 3, because you get 1 per element. So get that number to be high. Don't worry about any GAs on this item. That's just something important I want to mention. All right, so of course we got the runes now. So as far as the runes, we're going to be running Nagu Vex over here. So we're going to have all these little conjuration summons. So that's going to help out. And then we run Igni Thul for the Frost Nova, which is a damage dealer. It also freezes them. And there's technically more multipliers on the passives that will give you bonuses on like crowd control and stuff. But you can actually run whatever you want. I actually mentioned a couple other ones. You can run the Zek rune. You can run any other one for survivability, barrier, doesn't matter. I just really highly recommend running Vex, because it's like one of my favorite ones, considering you get extra CDR on like your ultimate, as well as ranks to everything like teleport and like your ice armor. It just is one of the best things, I think, in the entire game. And then your pets obviously facilitate this, and you don't even have to maintain this. Like, there's nothing to really like time or snapshot with this build, which is great. Now, onto the brand new Horadric spells here. So you can play whatever you want. It honestly doesn't matter. Propulsion just has the lowest cooldown on activation, so we just get to upkeep it. I wouldn't worry too much about which one you play, though. You just want to activate it during Hydra. And then we're going to be running the Fire one, so we get more damage over time. Now, there is a gem that gives you more damage every single like time that you apply a dot. Honestly, you don't really need it unless you're doing really high tier pushings in the pit and you're having trouble against the boss. You can swap to that one, but Revier Horn actually got a buff. So I know it says that it's 30x, but it's actually 50x more damage. And one thing with the boss is you can still get the bosses to actually spawn in ads, even if it's not a normal one, because they updated the idol from below. They nerfed the stats on it, but they said that the Jewel Guardians are going to actually spawn in consecutively, like within a certain time frame. So that's actually a really powerful thing, because what this allows you to do is guarantee getting some extra like things to actually kill, so then you can proc the bonus. If you aren't into running this, because these do spawn in, they're not that difficult though. You should be able to delete them pretty fast. As long as you're doing speed runs, this thing is definitely going to be recommended. But if you're doing like, you know, rank 1 pushings, you're probably interested in running the Shatter variant of this build, which is a topic for another video because it plays a lot of different things. But most people will enjoy the Burn variant that is this one over here. But just something to note, if you want to do high tier pit pushings, you may want to consider swapping this out for even more damage. You can also run Scornful Light here. These are all like great choices here. And then what we are running in terms of the Horadric spells. So I already mentioned this one, which is just fire, so it's just burn. But again, I wanted to mention at least for the people that do want to do like higher tier pit pushings, we're talking like rank 1, like trying to really squeeze anything. There is this like damage over time one. It's called Tyrant Bane. So this one, it's kind of like Bane of the Stricken, where like you just keep on ramping up your damage, right? Or is it, yeah, I think it's Bane of the Stricken in Diablo 3. It's the yellow gem though, but it just essentially gives you infinite damage. But it's every single time they take damage over time, which is 2 every 1 second. So you get basically 66%, well, it's 0.66% more damage every single second. So that's kind of cool. And then you're going to be able to ramp up that damage. So if you want to play that, that's fine. But they just buffed this one. And like, dude, it's a 50x multiplier for 1. And you're going to see like you're deleting enemies super fast here. But as far as the Horadric spells here that I really like to play, the absolute must, okay, is Reactive Ooze. The rest, it's kind of up to you, to be honest. The reason why is, remember how we spent all of our mana? We need a way to recover that, so that's how we recover that. And then we run Sapping Crux, which is going to apply vulnerability, because, well, vulnerability is good. You can also apply it via your Frost Nova, which automatically activates, but just in between the times where things aren't vulnerable, it's like a lot less damage in this game, just like every single Diablo build. You have to have 100% vulnerability. And then we play also Bottled Wind for even more survivability, because you get ranks into glass cannon, so you're going to take a little bit more damage. And there's also Scornful, which also makes you take more damage, but this gives you so much barrier. Honestly, you can get away without this later down the line once you have, you know, your master working down. You get like, you know, GAs here and there on like, you know, 2 or 3 pieces of gear, so you have like your offensive and the maximum life roll. It's just really good to have. I really like this, but if you want to run any other offensive one, by all means go for it. It's excellent to swap this one out, but you must play this. It's required. Okay, so now that we went over that, let's go ahead and go over the skill tree. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you guys. So like I mentioned before, as far as the enchant, you can get this. It just makes them take 25% more damage. Then we run extra mana for more damage, extra damage here, because our core skills, Hydra is now considered a core skill. And then we have teleport, and then we get some extra damage reduction. We get glass cannon here, and this is one thing that we can get. So this is kind of optional. If you want to get this for Frost Nova, there is a damage multiplier here. Now you have a couple different ways to grant yourself barrier in the game. So you can drop protection over here, and then you can run this. Or what you can do, if you want to, you can also drop the Ice Blade attack speed. There's also these two to drop. It's kind of up to you. I'm going to go ahead and hit edit here just so you guys can see the differences. So you could remove Mana Shield here. You can also remove Icy Touch. Again, it's up to you and what you want to remove. If you want to play the Frost Nova that gives you a damage multiplier and vulnerability, or you can just have your powers do it. It's up to you on kind of how you want to run your build, obviously. You make the decision over there. Again, there's just a couple options. If you don't want to play the Ice Armor one too, hey, go for it. It's not like it's required for the build, but it definitely makes the build tankier. The most important thing, though, with Hydra is that you want to make sure that you select the Burn one, because it's another 100% of damage over the 6 seconds. The crit variant, we'll talk about that in a future video, because there's a lot of differences in the passives as well as what you get on the Paragon, because you actually scale crit in that one. So you do want to get Inner Flames. You can put 1 point into Crippling Flames, so it does immobilize them, so that's kind of nice. So the crit variant will get Devouring Blaze, but again, this is the dot version, which it has more potential, honestly. If you're wondering, is crit better or dot better? As far as we're aware of, the dot version is now even better, because they nerfed the crit variant, which is odd, because they used to give you ranks to Devouring Blaze, but now it's they swapped it up to Primordial Binding, which is way better anyways. It's better even for the crit build, which, again, I'm surprised that they did that. But Permafrost is just easy to maintain. It's just you have the 18x. It doesn't have to, like, have some sort of condition. You're going to max out the Inferno over here, so again, you get, like, another 50x damage. This also applies I believe it applies vulnerability. Yeah, here we go, at rank 5. And then we can get this to get extra damage. There's extra mana cost reduction. If you need these in the very beginning, go for it. It's not that big of a deal, but the powers will get you infinite mana anyways. Then we run Elemental Synergy, so we get extra damage here. And then we run Evocation to get even more cooldown reduction. You could actually drop this one over here if you want to, and then you can get even more damage. And cooldown reduction is only really for the ultimate in the build. And if you want to, again, you can also play the Zek rune to give you even more cooldown. Again, it's pretty much just that you want cooldown for. And then we run Combustion, so the burn effects deal 50x increased damage, and then you get extra of your damage to burning bonus. You're gonna max this out. It used to go to like 900x when you min-max, but you don't need it anymore. The build does enough damage, because now everything is capped in the key passives over here. All right. So now for the Paragon board. So for starters, we run Tactician over here, and then we move into Frigid Fate with Pyromaniac. Even though this is your bonus damage to cold, you're thinking, aren't you a fire build? All of the non-physical damage on the Tal Russia ring as well, all of this will count towards this bonus. And then we go ahead and get Fundamental Release with Torch over here, so every time we burn an enemy, they're just going to take more and more damage. Then we move into Burning Instinct with Elementalist, so this is going to give us extra damage here. Most of these are going to hit without even really thinking about it. And then the last board, honestly, you don't really need to put all the points into it. The build is like absolutely perfect at 299, but you can get away at like 250. Just don't put a lot of points into like this section over here on the last one, which is the Flame Feeder. So don't worry too much about any of this like dodge stuff. Again, most Diablo builds, you only really need Para 250 to pretty much tap out, but we get Elemental Summoner because it's all about conjurations, and then we get this one over here, which gives us extra damage to the burn. So we're gonna get all of the bonuses really easy. It's so easy to hit all of the bonuses on Sorc. Very, very friendly. But yeah, guys, that's gonna go ahead and wrap up the build guide. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it, and if there's any other updates, I'll be dropping the update just via updating the planner. But if there's some major update, I could make another video. But I want to get all of my Season 9 videos out before the season comes out. That way you guys have something to either like favorite and then, you know, maybe bookmark or whatever, and then you guys can come back to it, and this way you guys have it ready, because I'm going to be dropping a lot of build guides for a lot of the other classes. So if this is your first time here and you do want to see it, subscribe, turn that bell, and you will definitely see a lot of build guides, and I'm going to be dropping them before the season comes out, and I will update them if there's some sort of crazy interaction or some like so broken new thing that someone figures out. I'll update you guys on that. Anyways, take care, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Also, it'll be in the pinned as well as the link in the bio if anyone needs like the links for anything.